Much for joining. I've got a room full here at Velma Jackson, and we're also recording this for all of our STEM students in Madison County Schools, including Stanley Carroll over at Shirley Simmons Middle School, Vicky Parts at Germantown High School, and my friends Jatoria Kirksey and Angela Reed at Old Town Middle School. So we're recording this for a lot of our STEM students, and we got some questions we're going to get to from the kids as well. But we'd love to hear about your background and what all you do with C Spire and how you got to where you are.
Okay. Um, First off, I'm a project supervisor at C Spire. What I do on day to day, we go into different neighborhoods. Well, I'm not gonna say different neighborhoods because once we start a neighborhood, we're in that neighborhood for at least 2 to 3 months. We installed the backbone for the fiber that we put in the ground. Basically, since the business is booming now, since the the COVID shutdown and a lot of the working from home things going virtual, so I've been very busy. So we install fiber optics internet. It's a lot faster than your regular cable. It doesn't go out as much, so if you're in our areas, it'll be a real great product.
Yeah, and obviously that's a highly important job because everybody complains that the cell phone or the internet's not working, especially trying to work from home. So it's extremely important what you do. But we know you're a Velma Jackson alumni. So what was your education background to get into this field?
Well, honestly, I attended Jackson State University, majored in computer engineering. But what I do now has nothing to do with computer engineering at all.
Wow.
It has nothing to do with computer engineering at all. It deals with a little civil engineering, with reading maps, laying out different designs, reading design schematics, determining locations for certain, what we have like boxes that we put in the ground to keep our utilities from being damaged. So it's more on the civil engineering side versus, like I said, what I went to school for. What I went nothing to do with what I do now.
That's usually the way it goes. That seems to be the growing trend. Now, when you talk about, you said you do the civil engineering and you had the computer engineering background, but what type of technology do you use to actually set up and maintain these fiber optics?
Well, that part goes beyond me. So we have an engineering team that they design everything, and I'm basically the person that looks after it and makes sure everything is going according to the drawings and the plans that they came up with. Even though sometimes I have to deviate from certain things that they put on paper because of obstacles in the area. So we have to change. Like I said, that's why I have to go out and change things that they basically had engineered first, but I have to change it in where it'll actually work. Because not everything that engineers put on paper works. So you have to improvise, to make things still work.
I'm glad you said that because every speaker I have, I asked them the same thing because, and I know I can speak for the other teachers that are going to see this later, but these kids in these STEM classes, if they don't get stuff right the first time, they want to quit and think, it's not going to work. How often in any engineering field does it work the first time?
It's rare. Yeah, that's why when you present something, you have to have more than one plan. You have to have different options because if option one fails, you got to come up with something else. And that's when I present something to my boss, he'd be like, "Hey, I have to give more than one situation on one way we can do something because my first two may not work.
Yeah,
it may not work."
Yeah, and then especially in a corporate job like C Spire, even though it is a STEM related job, there's a lot of money at stake. You're talking about the largest privately held telecommunications company in the country. I mean,
Correct.
we aren't talking about a mom and pop shop over here. We're talking about billions of dollars. So
Correct.
that the solution has to be found. It can't just be, oh, I throw my hands up, like we can't do this. People are paying
Correct.
a lot of money, and they're paying you good money. They gotta have some kind of thing figured out here. And that, and I was in telecommunications on the retail side for a while, and I know that these companies are investing a lot of money, and they're not investing that money to have it not work.
Right, because when we're not putting fiber in the ground, we're basically losing money. Because we have customers who's in neighborhoods, they're waiting on our service. The more areas we get installed in, the more money comes back into the company, because it costs a lot of money to install fiber optics.
Oh yeah.
So it costs a lot.
Now, what other type jobs do you have working on your team?
I have an inspector who, and also, like I said, I have other guys that are contractors that we contract the work out to. And so I basically just do the overseeing and make sure everything is being done correctly.
Now, now obviously, and again, I have a little bit of a background in the cell phone industry, but in your particular field, what type of would a 4-year degree be necessary, or could you get it in an associate's community college background? Are they looking more for the experience or for the education?
Well, in my field, the part that I do is actually more experience. Yeah. It's more the experience side of things on what I do. But other jobs throughout the company, you need a degree. Yeah. To me, especially if you want to be, say, like a director or a VP or something like that, you have to have some type of degree in this, a similar area. But yeah, experience, like what I do, experience goes a long way. Yeah. I've been in the telecommunications field for, let's see, it'd be 15 years.
Wow.
It actually made 15 years in January.
Wow. And then
I've been here at C Spire. It'd be 7 years in November that I've been here at C Spire.
That's awesome.
And within that time, me being here, I've been promoted twice.
Wow. Congratulations. That's awesome. Now, and another thing is, and I have a lot of STEM professionals that, how hard is it to keep up with the always changing technology? Because yeah, you guys are installing the fiber optics, but with customer demand and with technological advances, a lot of things have to change. So how on top of that do you have to stay as far as still being effective in your job?
You have to, outside of what you do at work, you still need to read up on the latest technology and things. Which that helped me a lot when I actually was inside of homes doing installations. New routers and things come out, wireless devices. Customer had to go there. We may not offer that device, but the customer has their own device, and I know how to make it work. And and show them that, hey, this is how this works. They may just go to Best Buy, Radio Shack, anywhere, and buy it, not know how it works. So I had to be the expert. So I had to stay up to date on the latest, the latest technology myself outside of what we offer at work.
Wow. Now, along those same lines, a lot of people say that, if I have the skills, I don't have to have the people skills. So how important is that, is the communication not only with the customers, but with your coworkers? Because pretty much every type of network job like this, you're going to have to deal with a lot of people, deal with the customer service aspect, especially in a corporation. And then you have contractors, you're going to have to be a great communicator, showing them how things are done. So how do you we have middle school and high school kids that are watching. How do they work on those communication skills to be effective?
Well, the company I work for is, as you know, the name is C Spire, which came from customer inspired.
Wow, I know that.
Everything we do is for the customer. So that we work for the customer. And in my field, I interact with customers all the time. So there'll be days, customer, That's not even customer at the time. People come out, they concerned about us being, on the street, being in the yard, blocking traffic, things of that nature. And some of them understand because they are in their work, done that line of work. Then you have a lot of them who don't understand and be highly upset. So the way you come off to a person and, just kind of let them vent. Then once they vent, they finish venting, you get them your side, tell them what's going on, explain what's going on to them, and they're a totally different person. Yeah. They stand out and actually start watching the process of what we're doing, or they come back out in a few days, like, hey, I see how everything is going now, and it's nothing like I thought it was.
Wow.
You let them get out let them get out their frustration by them. Like I said, some of them, they don't know exactly what's going on. They just see people out in the neighborhood digging. So once you explain the process to them, they turn into a totally different person.
Yeah, and along with the digging, and you hear the stories all the time about, safety hazards and digging. So how important is it to be up on the environmental regulations and the safety regulations when it comes to digging? Because that can be some serious stuff.
Yeah, it definitely can, because when we're digging, we cross electrical lines underground. Some areas have underground utilities, meaning gas lines, electrical lines, which are very dangerous. Both are very dangerous. Yeah. So before we do any digging in an area, we have to call a utility locate company and have them to mark the underground utilities. And once they mark them, what we do still to verify if we're going to cross them, we do what we call potholing. We basically dig a hole where the locator has marked it, saying, okay, it's supposed to be a utility here. Sometimes that paint mark may not be right. So we have to dig down and verify that it's right there. And another thing that helps us with is determine our depth of how deep in the ground we need to go. Yeah. Some utilities can be at 3 feet, some could be at 4. Just say gas may be running at 3 feet. Power may be running at 4 or 5. So we try to get at least 2 feet below. If power is the deepest, we're going to at least try to get down to like 6 or 7 feet where we won't hit those utilities.
Yeah, and it sounds like, and another problem, and I think I can speak for the other teachers on this one as well, these kids want to get in a hurry on stuff. When you're doing stuff like this, the first thing you need to be is careful. If I'm a customer, I'd rather have it right than somebody get done in 30 minutes. Right.
Because like I said, when we're dealing with stuff like that, especially with power, somebody can get seriously hurt or, even die from, the shot, hitting that power line.
Yeah, and then even if somebody's not hurt, if you cut the power off by accident, you're looking at several homes that could be affected. And then
correct.
Not only do you lose time, C Spire has to cover those costs to get things fixed. So again, you're looking at the money at stake here.
Correct.
And I think the business side of it is, especially with STEM, the business side comes more and more into it as far as the money that can be made, but it has to be done correctly. Correct. Everybody watching now and watching later, that's what I'm trying to get across, is that these things in STEM, they're not things you just figure out immediately, and they're things you have to be very careful, very particular in the way you do things.
Yeah, it's a process. It's a certain process that we have to try to stick to and go by. Because we can't, like I said, we can't just start digging in the ground without knowing what's beneath. Yeah. Someone can have a shovel and it's not marked, and they, just digging. You don't hit a gas main, and that can be very, the natural gas can be very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people. And before I get to the students' questions, I do want to talk briefly about C Spire and what type of employees is C Spire looking for. Obviously, they're one of the largest employers in the state of Mississippi, but what type of people is C Spire looking to bring in to be a part of your team?
Like I said, C Spire is always looking for somebody that's going to be customer inspired. No matter what, you got to have customer skills. That, because that's one thing they don't play about. We work for the customer. So we try to go above and beyond, you know, within reason on and pleasing the customer. So that's if you have people skills, that'll help you a long way at C Spire.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, I think everybody kind of knows the broadband cell phone industry is extremely competitive. So not only do you have to have the best product, you have to show that you are going to care about the customer, because it's extremely easy to change services. It's one of the easiest things to do in the world. So, you know, having the best technology and the best people to install the technology is important, but you have to be able to show the customers that you care about their service and care about them having the best technology.
Right. Yeah, that's what sets us apart is our customer service. They, you know, they do different ratings with all the communication companies, and we rank the highest out of any other communication company on our customer service.
Wow.
We react fast. You know, when I was in the installation department, customer calls in that morning, hey, my internet is out. We're trying to get to the customer the same day. Whereas in other you know, companies, it may be 2-3 days, possibly a week.
Yeah.
But we thrive on going out the same day, getting the customer taken care of. Not the same day, because, you know, some customers are not home and they be like, hey, I won't be home until tomorrow or a few days after. Okay. That's the day we'll be there. But if you can have somebody, and then another thing, like, hey, we can go outside your home and just check and see if it's something that's outside of your home. Maybe they had landscaping done and they cut our fiber drop going to the side of the house. If that's the case, we can go out and get that repaired without them being home. And they can, as soon as they get home, they won't have to wait on C Spire because their service is back up and running.
Wow. Yeah, and if people are trying to do home business, especially now with COVID, it's more important than ever. I mean, I've never seen, never in my life have I seen Wi-Fi be so important for people to have in their home, just because of people in online classes, people doing online business. It's, you know, it could be a life and death thing. It's people's livelihood, so it's extremely important. But I do have some questions here from the students. Some of these are really good. This one's Maya Dixon. She's in 9th grade, and she asked, what do you do to stay organized?
What do I do to stay organized? Some people are, that's a tough one, but it's not. So I'm an early person. Plan ahead. You know, that's right. When I reached out to you on yesterday, I asked you, hey, is it certain topics that I want to talk about so I can make sure that I have something in play that I can cover? But being organization is great. That way, you know, when you on time for meetings, when you need certain tools, you know, where in my field, we had to use certain tools. So I have to have them in a certain spot so I know where they're at, because when I need them, I don't always have time to be running around trying to search for them when I need them right then to get something repaired. So that's why I try to keep my truck well organized always. And I stay organized as well because, hey, when I was in field, they did vehicle checks. And if your vehicle wasn't organized or clean where they can, you know, you can get in and out, it was a safety hazard. If you got a lot of stuff in the back, you get in the back of the van or the truck, you tripping over stuff, looking for stuff. But also it cuts down on time being organized.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then it also sounds like, you know, you have the technology skills, but you also get to work with tools and work with your hands. So it's not you have a technological job where you're not just sitting in the office all day. So
correct.
If somebody wants a mix, it sounds like it'd be a pretty cool job to do if they want to do a little bit of both. This is Brian McMurtry. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, when it comes to fixing problems, what is your thought process?
What is my thought process? First thing I do is try to get to the root of it. What caused the problem? Yeah. So once you find out the root of the problem, that helps you solve the problem. Because if you just okay, well, this happened, I'm just gonna jump in to do this, but it may have been something that happened before that caused this problem to occur. or keep reoccurring. So what you want to do is get to the root of the problem. And we all know with plants or tree, whatever, with plants and trees, it all starts at the root.
Yeah.
Nothing would grow without a root. So if a problem is at the root, you find it at the root and you fix it there, then that problem shouldn't occur anymore.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's what I do. I always want to find what was the main cause of the problem, which is what, like I said, is the root of it.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is Jaheim Banks. He's in 9th grade. And he asked, since you have a different degree, what made you choose this field to go into?
Honestly, I didn't finish my degree, but I'm in the process. I'm going back and finish it. But life happened when I was in, life happened.
Oh, absolutely.
I had to be an adult. I had to take care of a child. So I actually like the position that I'm in versus what I was going to school for.
There you go.
What I do now, I'm not confined to an office.
Yep.
So I got the best of both worlds. I still do computer things, but I'm also still out in, on the outside dealing with people. Whereas in the office, you're only dealing with people that you work with versus being out in the field where I run into all types of different people, different attitudes, which helps build your people skills.
Oh yeah, and it really is a mesh of so many skills. I don't think the young people realized before they saw this that in the technology industry, it's not just being technologically savvy. There's a lot that goes into it. This is Reginald Cooper. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, "How often are the plans you get from the architects different than what is actually you're looking at?"
It's rare, but from when they draw their plans up, they know where they basically use Google Earth, and Google Earth don't always show things because it may be a yard, maybe another a tree or something that's there they didn't know about.
Yep.
Something the customer has planted there, or we've even seen memorials and stuff because I deal with stuff on streets and highways as well, not just in neighborhoods. So we have to get around stuff without disturbing it and causing a major uproar.
Yeah.
So, but it's not often.
Oh, okay. Now here's a guy I think you know pretty well. This is J. Ashton Williams, and he asked, "When did you realize you wanted to work in technology?"
Well, when I graduated long time ago, we was coming up everything. They would say everything was going to be computer based. It was computer this, computer that. So I'm like, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to, be in the demand. And, so like I said, back in 2002, when I graduated, coming through school, that's what they was telling us. We were getting fed a lot of that. Everything was finna be computer ran, technology based. So I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. So I, have a consistent job.
Yeah. Nobody
wants to get in a field where you can't find a job or that job don't last long.
Absolutely. Now this is Alonzo Johnson. He's in 9th grade, and he asked, "What is the protocol if the network goes down?"
What is the protocol? Well, that part is outside of me.
Okay.
But what I do is we put it in before anything starts to work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what I put in is, I put the fiber in before it's, what we call splice together anything, before anything starts working. But we have a team that's what we call the knock. Those guys sit and monitor a computer screen. It's basically like, I don't know, if you ever seen like a big weather screen, but it's a real big room that they have hundreds of monitors on monitor screens that have alarms. If something is cut in a certain area, it may not even be here in Mississippi. It could be in Atlanta or anywhere where a fiber can get cut and they have an alarm that goes off.
Wow.
So it alerts them and it shows them where the problem is. And we had to try to get a team there to see what's going on to try to get it repaired as soon as possible.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, because like I said, I've seen not with us, but with companies, you know, where you have the fiber and stuff be way off from the road where they have to take a train out to where it's running because fiber runs miles all over the United States. So it, you know, and a lot of it is tied in together.
Yeah. I never thought about if something goes down in Atlanta, it's going to affect us here. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's like I said, when people start having cell phone issues, sometimes it's not always local. It could be something in 2-3 states over that's causing.
Wow. Now let's have one more from the students, but this is Trevion Blackman, and he asked, what does C Spire do to stand out from other companies to be successful?
Like I mentioned earlier, our customer service. You have multiple companies that offer the same service that we do, but the people within the company makes our service better.
Yeah.
So if someone is selling, just say selling hot dogs, you might have a passion to sell hot dogs, but your people not gonna try your hot dog or whatever product you're selling if you have a bad attitude.
Absolutely.
Today's world, a lot of y'all on social media. Social media goes a long way. It can either help you or it can hurt you.
Yep.
Because especially somebody may go to a company, something they didn't like it. It may have been that one person out of 500 people that didn't like it, and they get on social media and rant about it, you know, make a video and go on a rant about how they was treated or how the service were, and they share it. Now thousands of people see it, and they going with this one person versus what the other 500 people said. So it all depends on how you treat people when you're dealing with them.
Absolutely.
And by me saying that, social media, like I said, social media can hurt you or it can help you.
Yep.
So be mindful of what things that, you know, that you guys post on social media, because companies do look up social media to see who they are hiring.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I wanted to ask this too. As far as C Spire, well, I know they have a great benefit package for employees. So what are some of the benefits that you get as an employee of C Spire that maybe other companies really don't offer?
Well, with us being a private company, we don't actually have stocks. You know, we can't, you know, how some companies they have where you can buy stocks. We have another thing where it's called ESOP, which as soon as you start to work at C Spire, they automatically enroll you in that program. And it's basically like giving you stocks without you buying.
Wow.
So they basically giving you money without you even buying stock.
Wow.
You know, and you know, you still like in other companies, you still get your 401k and things of that nature. But like I said, the ESOP, they basically giving you money every year without, you know, just because you're there, because you're working for the company.
So everybody has incentive for the company to do well. Unbelievable. Correct. Wow.
Yeah, they put money into your ESOP every year.
Wow. So the better the company performs, the more money you get put in there. Wow. So that really does give everybody incentive to stay customer inspired, because that's incredible. I've never heard of that of any company. That's awesome. But before we go, and we thank you so much for joining us. I know you're really busy, but you know, you walk these same halls as these kids I have here with me now, with a lot of these same teachers sitting in these same classrooms, growing up in the same community, but yet you've made a great career for yourself in a great STEM-related field that's not going anywhere. You're always going to be in demand.
Correct.
Right. So what can these kids do now as Velma Jackson, and we have some Shirley Simmons and other students as well? What can they do now coming from the same Camden community to be as successful as you've become as somebody who came from the same school?
All I can tell you is stay focused. If you know, don't set yourself on just one thing you want to do. Give yourself options. Give yourself options, you know, hey, because everything is, you might want to come out being a computer engineer or a doctor, but like I said, life happens.
Yeah.
So you always have to have a backup plan. So don't sell yourself short on being stuck on one thing or one thing that somebody else wants you to do. Because at the end of the day, you the person that got to be happy.
Absolutely. Nothing changes in life until you change it.
Correct.
I say that all the time. Well, my man Scooter Day, I appreciate you so much making some time for us. C Spire's doing some great stuff, and that was some great information. I had no idea on some of that stuff. But again, we thank you so much for joining us, taking some time for us today. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank y'all.
All right. Have a good day, my man.
All right.